Welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about how do I invest money as an animator and how has this mindset helped me a lot to progress in my career. If you're new to this channel, hi, I'm Dragana. I help animators and animation studios launch their IPs on social media or promote their existing animated projects, usually short films or just their demo reels. The first batch is coming to an end, while the second one is starting in January. You can already apply now and start consuming materials. So by the time our first call starts in January, you already have something to show up and ready for the review. Price is 750 euros for 4 weeks of live coaching and pre-recorded materials that teach you everything about how I promoted my own short film and what I learned about animation as a content from social media perspective and how can you engineer it to increase reach and attract more views for your short form videos. So that's shortly about the program. You can check more info below. Now let's get into the video. So money managing as an artist. When I first started in animation industry, my salary was super low. It was barely enough to cover my rent and food and taxes. With that said, I couldn't invest $1,000 in animation course or anything remotely like that. So I use the only thing I could at a time, and that is my negotiation skills and my communication skills. So my first animation course was partially paid by the studio I used to work at a time here in Serbia, and they cover half of the expenses for Anomalia in Czech Republic. That was the first animation program I went to. It was an amazing time I had there, and that literally changed my life because that is the first time I met some of the animators from ILM, Framestore, MPC, Pixar, Disney, and that was mega transformative for me because that was the first time I realized those animators are just like me. They're not these super natural humans that can do extraordinary, unearthly things. They're actually just like me, and I can work in those places too. And up until that point, I used to think I could never reach their level. I could never be where they are. But just by having the chance to meeting them, that literally changed my whole career because when I came back home after those 2 weeks in Czech Republic, I immediately started doing a personal shot that 2 years later will gonna get me my dream job in MPC London. So that's how I was able to get to London and work there for a while until, of course, COVID hit and I had to come back. Now, what happened in London? In London, I was surrounded by all these amazing artists again. So in Soho, everyone from Framestore and all these surrounding studios would usually get together in the nearby pubs, and we will all talk about how we were all doing creatures and how we need to do character animation more. So we were all thinking in ways where we lack instead of where our strengths are. And I was, up until that point, usually obsessed with creature animation. I was doing a lot of hyper-realistic creature in MPC and previously in my career. And then I came into a stream of people who wanted to focus into character animation. So that inspired me to start my first serious character animated shot, personal shot. And because I had a slightly better salary now in MPC, I invested, I'm not sure how much it cost back then, maybe $1,000, something like that. It was the 3 months course with Anim Squad, and they helped me create this shot that later got me a job in Steamroller, where I even work now. So this is how I was able to get where I am now because I always try to invest a little bit of that money into the next thing. Now, when I got my job at Steamroller, that was so unbelievable. So I couldn't believe it where I was in the time where everyone was losing their jobs in the time of COVID and didn't know where their next gig might come from. I landed a super secure job. Not only that, but but they have this amazing culture where they so nourish the artist and they so invest into the education and personal development of artists and later leads and people in the leadership positions that I felt like it was unreal that I was there. So suddenly I almost felt like I reached a peak of some sort in my career. And I was wondering what should I do next? So, and since I always had this mindset of bargaining for the thing that I wanted, I figured that I should make a short film or I should make something to prove that I have good leadership skills in order to become a supervisor in, I don't know, 5 or 10 years. That was kind of my goal and thinking behind starting a short film, Leap of Faith, that you can watch the trailer here. And it's coming soon, hopefully early next year, January, February, fingers crossed. So anyway, that was kind of the goal. I'm going to start a short film and let's see where it leads. But this is how I'm going to up my salary in the coming years, and this is how I'm gonna progress. I didn't want to do another personal shots. I wanted to do something slightly more complex. And since I had a pretty good and stable salary at Steamroller, I was again taking small chunk of that salary and reinvesting it, but this time in this personal short film. So I spent a lot of money in hiring artists, making a lot of mistakes when hiring artists, paying for all kinds of expenses when it came to managing, recruiting, and interviewing artists, which I explained in this video. And even now, when a lot of money has already been invested into that short film, I know that it will pay off triple or quadruple, because I know that every time in the past I used a really, really small portion of my money to leverage it, or almost like a lever to pull it to get what I was after. It always came back to me almost triple. So I always had this almost faith into when I give money for something, it's always gonna come back to me in so many unexpected and so many generous and blessed ways. Now, you might wonder, how is this film? I think I invested something like $35,000 of my own money. Plus, of course, I got a grant from Epic, and Steamroller also sponsored it partially. So there was a lot of money invested in the film, but how do you exactly monetize that, and how do you exactly leverage that in the future for a future career or any kind of endeavor you might want? So last year we were almost 90% done with animation, and I realized we still need lighting and compositing and all of that to be wrapped and some small polish, but most of it was done and my time was freed. So I needed to figure out a way, how do I promote this film? And I didn't want to waste my time on social media experimenting what works, what doesn't. I wanted to pay to people who knew marketing, who knew content creation, who knew social media, and who could actually help me and guide me. How do I tell a story with even some niche topics like Maya scripts, Maya tips and tricks, how did we design a costume, and so on. How do I tell super niche story, but so it reach a wider audience? So again, I invested a lot of my time in education, in mentorship courses, private one-on-one coachings. And after a year and a half, I gained so much knowledge and, of course, experience promoting my short film that this opened a completely new set of eyes where I could now see even animated content through the lens of storytelling I learned. And I could see how even everything that translates to storytelling in a voiceover format that I was mainly using can be also translated into animated content that doesn't use any words and just uses two silly characters trying to portray a relatable scenario to a viewer who might be watching. So suddenly I gained a priceless knowledge, something that I had to scavenge basically from all these content creation marketing courses, and I could only pick up what is valuable for animators and for animation. And that led me to create a program that I'm teaching now, Animation for Social Media, where I can actually package that knowledge and offer it to animators who are 2 years behind me and who are now venturing into promoting their short film or just building their animated IPs on social media. And only now I'm seeing some sort of monetary compensation that's coming back to me. Of course, that's a very small percentage of what it's coming back to me now in monetary sense, but I am sure that it will quadruple in the amount of money that I invested. And I'm only speaking about monetary aspect. I'm not even speaking about everything else I learned on the way, how to write, how to speak, how to deal with negative comments, how to start an online business, all of that aspect that goes way beyond from just being an animator. And since we are entering into an era of content creation mixed with animated content, it's very important to develop other skills unrelated to animation. And I never wanted to go on these journeys alone. I always wanted to have a mentor, a guide. And even now, when I'm venturing into the online business sphere, I have a business mentor, I have a psychotherapist, because we have so much garbage in our head that social media and entrepreneurship is going to test you with every single step you make along the way. And that's why I'm a huge believer in communities and group work. And because I've seen how much benefit I get from being in a group environment. And when you are in a group that is on the same, when you're surrounded by the people who are on the same journey as you are, your brain frequency basically adjusts to their brain frequency, and it's much easier to share failures and to share success. That's why Animation for Social Media is a group coaching program where we are all together, where I guide you all together, and you can see the questions someone else is asking and how is that actually helping you as well, because they are maybe 2 or 3 years ahead of you, and you're not even aware the question that you might encounter, but you're getting to see it right now. And that is kind of the same benefit I'm seeing in the business group coaching I'm in, because there are women who are maybe making, I don't know, $500,000 or $1 million a year. And I can see the type of questions they are asking, because in a couple of years, hopefully I'll be there, but I can see what kind of mindset they have and what do I need to become in order to become a person like they are. So I'm a huge believer in group work and in communities. So in Animation for Social Media program, you can see how some studios are thinking about it, how some animators who are more into content creation are thinking about social media, what are their strategy for optimizing their time, energy, and how they're matching content based on their personalities as well, not just based on strategies and what you should do to go viral. So that is kind of it. That was a long rant. I started from how do I invest money, but this is how I invest money. I invest money to save time and energy because I know it will always, always come back to me in triple or quadruple ways and not just in monetary terms. And I would always rather spend money than my precious little time and energy. So if you're like me, come join me in Animation for Social Media and let's see what you can create.